She is considered to be one of the world's top female mediums, working with celebs like Emma Roberts from American Horror Story, as well as other A-list actors, musicians, singers, and politicians. Her accuracy has made her a coveted guest on the morning radio circuit throughout the country. Maybe I should have her on my show. She's traveled across the U.S. just to be here on the show today. That's what she said. She flew in just to be on the chat. So we're pleased to welcome all the way from Los Angeles, Medium Fleur, to the chat. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule just to see us. That's so exciting.
Thanks for having me. This is a great show. I'm excited to be on it.
All right.
We're a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Go back
So
and
here.
tell everyone.
I will. I will tell
You're
everyone.
only in town for a
Yes.
couple of hours, literally.
Yes, like 24 hours.
All right. So we're going to talk to you right now. We've got to get it in before your plane leaves. We got to want to make sure you're on there. All right. So you are a medium.
Yes.
What is a medium the same as a psychic? Are they different?
No, they're totally different.
Okay.
So a psychic tells you about your life, and a medium tells you about people that you want to connect to on the other side. So I act as a translator from this world to the next. And so I offer information, evidence that they're around, and also any messages that need to be passed on.
Can you be both?
Every medium's a psychic. Not every psychic's a medium. So I can.
Every medium's a psychic. Not every psychic is a medium. Got
Yeah.
it.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can do it, but there's not a lot of mediums out there in the world that are really specific in their evidence, and so I find that my calling feels to be more of a medium.
Well, speaking of your calling, you're originally going to go into medicine, right?
Yes.
At
yeah.
UCLA?
Yeah. Well, the career guidance counselor does not have medium on their little list of opportunities. So they're like, oh, you want to help people? Like, you're definitely kind of smart. You know, you do well in math and science, so why don't we just ship you off to be a doctor? And I thought, that sounds good. I didn't think medium was ever going to be something I was going to do as a career. I also didn't know the term medium. I just knew that I talked to people who crossed over. I was like, I don't know what to do with this. I don't think I want to do this as a job, but I've got this gift, and I started doing it on the side, and it just really.
So how did you decide? You just were laying in bed one night, you were hearing, I don't know, do you hear
Well,
voices? Do you hear
So I see, feel,
spirits?
hear, and know. It all kind of comes in at the same time, and then I have to decipher it and put it together and make the storyline. But it started from a very, very young age. My parents noticed it right when I was about 4 or 5, started to talk a little bit more. And before that, I'm sure it was there. I just didn't vocalize it. Now, I thought everybody could do what I could do. For me, it was just my reality. So my dad's an engineer, my mom was a journalist. They were like, we don't know what to do with this one. This is very strange, but what she's saying is factually correct. You know, she couldn't have possibly known that. If she gets a weird face on, then we're gonna leave the party. You know, like we're not trying to like broadcast this to anyone. It's a little weird, but ultimately, it you know, kind of was just something that wasn't encouraged. It wasn't discouraged. It just was, and I didn't think I'd do it as a job. I just started doing it on the
So
side.
are most people born with this ability? Or I know you can develop it supposedly,
Yeah.
but are most people born with it? Like you knew about this at 4.
Yes, I do think that there are most of the major mediums in the world are definitely born with it.
Okay.
It's definitely something that you have to come to grips with at one point and go like, okay, this is definitely weird. It's definitely different. Do I want to be weird? Do I want to be different? But I have such an intense like need to do this for others, and obviously the reaction is so amazing. Like, how can I not do it? So that really was my journey as well.
So to those who are hearing you or you meet in person, who hear this is what you do, who are skeptical, who are like,
Yes.
I don't buy it one single bit.
So many people.
So is that a lot of people, or more
Of
people
course.
receptive or not receptive,
No,
do you
of
find?
course.
Kind of a mix.
I think people are curious. They want it to be true. But I think 99.9% of the people that come to my office just to have a private reading or come to the shows that I do are definitely highly skeptical. And I encourage that, because why would you just believe me at my word? Like, I would be skeptical. You know, if I'm going to go see a psychic, go see a medium, I'm going to be skeptical as well. And so that's why a medium also gives evidence, gives facts that say, okay, you know, I've got your mom, I've got your grandmother, this is what she did, this is what she looked like, blah, 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 blah. That's the evidence-based part, and then the messages come forward. And I always say to people who are skeptical, there's no harm in just going to experience it if you're interested in it, but I'm also not something that I think everybody has to go do. If you're not mourning a loved one and you're not stuck in your life and there isn't anything that's keeping you from moving on because you're grieving, you might not need me, you know, and that's okay. I'm there for the people who need me.
Yeah.
But the skeptics who say that none of you have this ability, They say that when you do this, when you sit and you do reading, that you ask leading questions. So, I see a man behind you. Did you have a man who died? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. You know?
Yeah.
What do you say to those people? I mean, those.
Right. Well, I always say to people, just give me a yes or no. So all I want in response is yes, that makes sense, yes, it's factual, or no, it doesn't. That's all I want. Now, I also do phone readings, so people who say I use their facial expressions, it doesn't really work for me. Usually I close my eyes, or if I'm on the phone, obviously I can't see you. So that's how I kind of counter it with that. I don't ask a lot of questions, almost ever. For me, it's really like I want to know that you feel the connection. I definitely don't want to, make you walk away and going, I'm not quite sure. If that's the case, I'm not doing my job.
So, first of all, you have fabulous lashes on, honey. Love them. How would one know if they actually have it versus, them sitting there hearing voices? Maybe they think they're off their rocker a little bit or intoxicated.
Well, so when I first started doing this, I definitely thought to myself, well, maybe I'm just a really good guesser, or and I'm such a rational person. I mean, I went to UCLA, I studied pre-med. I definitely was in those psychology classes where in my book it was like, if you're hearing voices, you will, and I was like, oh God, this is me. This is me. Like, not gonna raise my hand, not gonna say anything about it. But it really is one of those experiences where you, after just doing reading after reading after reading. I mean, I've done thousands of readings at this point, and information comes out that they have to go look up, that then they're like, oh, I didn't know my grandmother owned a farm in China. You told me my grandmother owned a farm in China. That's crazy. They go ask their dad. Their dad's like, oh yeah, we got property in China. It's like moments like that where I'm like, how could I possibly have known that if you don't even know it? If you have to go look that up. I think that's the magic of it. So for my own journey into this as well, I've definitely started off quite skeptical, even though I was born doing this, like looking at myself and trying to rationally decide what's going on. I don't want to be crazy. But then over time have really learned to trust it and seen just amazing connections being made and incredible information that comes out.
Wow. So you pack it up and you move out to LA.
Yes.
And you're now so busy, you have all these clients. How in the world did you get yourself established as such to get these celebrities?
Well, in the beginning, I literally worked out of my closet. I had a walk-in closet, and I was sharing with a roommate, and we were at UCLA, and so I was like, well, I have to figure out how to, what this is, and is it real, and am I doing it for, am I really connecting to people who have passed over? So I did all these phone readings from my closet, and I worked under a pseudonym, actually. I did that for about 2 years during college, and I got a lot of phone calls. I was working for like $10 an hour. I was like, I'll pay you to let me do a reading. Let me figure this out. And then I graduated, and I had such amazing responses from people that the minute I graduated, I was like, well, I'm gonna go full time. We'll see. I actually don't really want to go to medical school at this point. I love doing this. So we'll just throw caution to the wind and go at it. And within 2 weeks, I was booked for 3 months in advance, and word spread. I mean, whenever I read for somebody, they would tell like 4 of their friends, because they're like, I had this amazing experience. Let me tell all my friends about it. Because when you experience something that you really enjoy or like blows your mind, of course you're going to tell your friends. Yes. So that was a really big turning point. And I guess the celebrities just heard about it through their friends. So that was pretty cool. I didn't really advertise a lot for most of the years that I've been doing this. I was on Yelp.
Okay.
So, I guess that's some sort of advertising. So I was on Yelp, and people just kind of heard about it. And you'd be surprised, celebs Yelp too.
Is this really? That's good. We all Yelp. They're just like us.
Yeah. Like, I found you on Yelp. I'm like, okay, cool.
So is this something you have to go into like a meditative trance of sorts, or is this something that maybe you walk into, I don't know, a mall and you feel something from someone else or hear? Is this something you have to really focus on?
I definitely turn on and I turn off. So I'm not the type of person who's walking around being like, oh, I've got this person, I've got that person. For a couple of reasons. One, it doesn't feel morally right to me. So if I'm in a grocery store and somebody's just lost their son, they're not in the emotional space for me to walk up to them and say, your son wants to talk to you. Plus, there's so many mediums out in the world now that if they wanted that experience, they can absolutely do a Google search and find somebody like me. So for those two reasons, I'm never on in public. And it really does require me to just kind of shift into a meditative zone, but you won't ever see it from my face. I won't look any different. You know, I tend to joke that my eyes aren't going to roll to the back of my head, nothing crazy is going to happen. I tell people when I'm working on stage, I'm like, if I start foaming at the mouth, don't be like, ooh, she's in a trance. You know,
Call
like, call 911. Yeah.
Immediately.
Seriously.
So, are you allowed to tell us who some of your celebrity clients
Yeah. Well, the ones who've tweeted or like posted about it, I feel like they're kind of fair game, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're going to put it on Twitter, then I may as well be able
That's
to.
the whole world.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Emma Roberts came to a show a while ago, and she tweeted about it. And then I've regularly worked with Lana Del Rey as well, and they're both good friends of mine now, so that's nice. But I've worked with politicians, actors, musicians, anybody. I've talked to some really cool celebs from the other side, so to speak.
Really?
One of my favorites was the Mamas and the Papas.
Yeah?
Which, like, I mean, Papa.
Are you even
know,
old enough to remember who they were?
my parents loved them, actually. I grew up with the Mamas and the Papas. So when I'm doing this reading, I'm like, oh my God, I'm talking to the Mamas and the Papas, which Mama Cass is like such a big energy. And so coming from in the other side, it was kind of fun to be able to feel her presence just because she's larger than life.
Okay. Well, you are going to stick around for one more break because when you come back, guess who's having a reading? I don't know. I'm kind of nervous. I don't know if I can do this.
You are not nervous.
Okay, when we come back, we're going to talk to Madame Fleur, and she may be tapping into someone I know on the